Hi there, Dave here with a video about pickling. No, not the cucumber kind in the summertime. It's about what Python calls storing data out to auxiliary storage for long-term storage. Um, it's got a special system built up so that it knows how to very accurately take the contents of an array, no matter what's in that array, no matter what's in that array. And when we get into objects, that's going to make a lot more sense why this is so important. But it'll take anything that's in an array, and it will very accurately store it in a file so that it can be read back into that array again and then used right in the program. And so this is the best way that I know of how to store data that's not going to be messed with by a human in between the time that it's stored by the computer and re-gotten by the computer. And this is actually most data. Most data, we want control of that data, and we don't want users randomly messing with it with WordPad. We want to control that data. That's why we put it into safe places like goofy binary encoded things or in encrypted files, encrypted databases, and things like that. So most of the time, the data that you want to store is not data that you want the user to get to. And that's this kind of data. So pickling works really well. In Java, we call it serialization. In C# we call it serialization. Python calls it pickling. So what it does is it accurately takes the contents of an array and writes it to a file so that when you bring it back, whatever was in that array, no matter what, no matter how complex objects or arrays inside of arrays, no matter how complex, pickling will save it so that you can bring it back and start off exactly where you left off. So eventually that's going to be really nice to do in our flight log program. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have to do in order to make this work. Well, this is the flight log 3, and this is the pickling. This is the bare components of the pickling stuff. And we're going to go ahead and use it in the flight log system in the next video. So this will just get all the basics and how it works out of the way. So before you can read it, you got to write it. Once again, it's in binary. It's not supposed to be read and saved by humans. In fact, if you do go and edit it in Notepad and you change something, it's usually not going to work the way you think it is. You'd be surprised. Things are not as they always appear in binary files, and you don't know because nobody wants you to know. All right, so we are going to use pickle, and pickle is a package that's part of Python. Python's pickle package, pal. And so we're going to use pickle, and we're going to use the dump function, and we're going to use the load function. And we're going to dump it out to a file first. So what we're going to do is we're creating a string. This is the name of the file that we're going to save the data to. And we haven't run it yet. So as soon as we run it, then we'll have this file. We'll be able to open it and look at it. And we're going to save in this file, we're going to save an array of 3 strings called lines. So here's lines, and it contains 3 strings. And so we use the dump function of pickle, passing in lines, the array that we're going to save, and we pass it in to a file that's been opened for write binary, and the file name is test_data_1.txt. And so it opens that up, and then dump takes lines and puts it in there and closes it, and we're done. And now we've got the file built. And as soon as we do that, then we go ahead and we execute the load function of pickle, passing in an open file by that same name, but it's being opened for read binary, which means that other people can open it for read binary at the same time. No conflict there. In fact, you can even open it once for read binary where somebody's opening it for write. But you can't have two people opening it for write. And so Python takes care of all that stuff with the operating system for us, but we're telling it what our intentions are, so Python knows how to lock things for other people up. That's the purpose of that stuff. And so we're going to go ahead and lock it up for write here, and we're not going to lock it up. We're going to read it here. And so lines is going to become whatever we put into there. And then we're going to set our old index thing I to 0 and go through all those lines and print the contents of the lines. And it better be 4, 5, and 6. And 4, 5, line 4, line 5, and line 6 should be on separate lines because of the print. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it. And there it is. So now test data 1 was just created. And there's the output. As we thought, line 4, 5, and 6. And when we look at this data, even though its name is .text, you can see that it's not, it's binary stuff. Oops. So, and I didn't want to change that. So you think you can go in there and change line 4, 5, and 6. You might be able to do that part. It looks like string stuff. But the other stuff is pretty complicated. You don't want to get in and mess with it. So this is not made for human interaction. This is made to store complicated data and stay out of human interaction. The only reason we can read that is because it's a string. Okay? So we're going to use this now, and we're going to store our data in the flight log system using this pickling approach. That'll be in the next video. Take care.